Growing up in a Christian household, you do not have sex, you stay abstinent. I had a pregnancy scare when I was 17. I was not pregnant, but I thought I was. And instead of telling my parents, I was like, no, it's probably better to just kill myself. And I talk about that and I say it out loud because I know so many young women that go through the same thing.
That is incredible. I mean, it's ideally in a perfect world, a pregnancy is a happy moment.
Right.
But sometimes things aren't planned. Sometimes there's surprises. And I think it's very unreasonable for a person to say, just don't have sex. We are human beings. It's literally in our DNA to be attracted to each other and to form bonds with each other and to express love with each other.
And, you know, the answer to this, what it should be in a conservative household is, okay, you might be pregnant. It's not the end of the world. Let's get married. That's it. Problem solved. Lady, just don't leave. That's it. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. You're an adult. Sex feels good, you know. Go get married. Okay, let me keep going.
And to simply put up a wall and say, we don't acknowledge this, we don't talk about it, it's dark, it's sinful and shameful.
Yeah.
Can you tell we had a similar background?
Oh, yeah.
It's not healthy.
No.
It develops a very high conflict relationship with your own biology in a way.
Sex ed is very important. And in the household I grew up in, there was no sex.
Now, is sex ed important? If she's entering modern dating, it is so important. If she's doing traditional dating, she doesn't have to worry about it. Modern, holy crap. And you got it like, what are actually, and they don't even tell them the useful stuff. Do you know what's a good stat to know? If your daughter enters modern dating, you know 90% of women will get HPV, which can lead to cervical cancer. 90%. Condoms don't prevent this fully, but they help a lot. Women aren't the most careful, right? I mean, what's your experience? Are women careful? 90%. Now, there is a vaccine against it, but I do there's a bunch of strands. There's new STIs forming every day. And pap smears don't necessarily detect this stuff. Sometimes it doesn't come till later. Women will literally get cancer and die from this. And 90% of women get the virus. It doesn't always go to cancer. Do they teach that in sex ed? No. The fact that 1 in 3 women has an active STD. 1 in 4 will get an abortion. These stats will affect your daughters. They will. So you either go find her husband for her, enforce it or encourage it the best you can, or you are leaving your daughters up to failure. You are. And I'm not saying she will fail. Some women enter the modern dating market and they win. That happens all the time. But at what cost? How much debt? How much of everything, you know? All right, let me go. And by the way, you know, you can do everything right. And because women, we have these easy jobs. So it's not like she has to listen. And I want to take the responsibility off of you, fathers, because you can't the world, your daughter has free will and you can't stop her if she wants to go be a whore. But if you don't give her the choice, if you don't go find a husband and at least give her the choice, you can't say you did everything that you could have. You can't. You guys know what goes on in college. You guys all went to college. I mean, you can give her in better environments. You can look for schools. If I was a dad and I didn't want to find an arranged marriage or I didn't think my daughter would listen, what I would do is I would go find a school that has very husbandly jobs where there's more men than women too. That's what I would do. And has a lot of STEM jobs. There's different choices we have here. Okay. Next, we're going to go off of these purity rings. Again, the purity ring is like a performance. It's a show. It's to save your reputation. It's signaling for everyone else. Virginity, it should be a private thing for you and your husband and not really used for clout. So this is a woman talking about her mother giving her a purity ring. And the dads find this weird. This is really pushed on by the mothers mostly.
Forget the absolute guilt and shame that I felt at 17 years old when my mother made me take my purity ring off my finger and give it back to her. So in the spirit of this whole, using the creator insights to tell you, what people are searching for on TikTok and what you want to hear, purity ring was one of them. And boy, do I have a story for you. Okay, so like many of you, I was raised in a good old Christian household, aka a incredibly hypocritical household where it was do as I say, not as I do. So I think I started hearing about purity rings when I was 11 years old. And in the church that I grew up in, it was very much like, oh, this is a cool thing. This is very exciting. You want to be a part of this. You want to stand up in front of the entire church and claim your virginity publicly for the whole congregation. God, that made me so excited to be proud of, to be a part of. So in the church that I grew up in, which was called non-denominational, but it was very much evangelical Christianity, you were not allowed to be part of the purity ring ceremony that took place in front of the entire congregation until you were a teenager. It was 13 when you were allowed to be a part of this, what now I know is a very culty ceremony. But oh, the hype they created around it. Like they wanted you to tell your friends and they wanted you to be proud, and like the boys in the church knew that the girls that were wearing the purity ring were the ones that they were going to try to marry one day. It was all very weird, but I was in for it. I was sold on this purity ring idea. So in the Christian culture, they put such an emphasis on virginity. Like, so that, I mean, they literally talked about it like tainted property. I mean, my own father would say, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Well, I didn't want to be the cow. I wanted to be the prize that was won because they had convinced me that this was a good idea. So I think my mom got me my purity ring when I was 4.
See, again, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? What are they saying? The only thing you have to offer is sex. Weaponize sex to get what you want.
If I remember correctly. And I wore that ring so proudly, but you weren't allowed to be a part of the actual ceremony where you like wear the white dress and you get up there and you make this like public declaration that you're going to save yourself for your husband in front of the entire church body when you're 16. When you're 16 is when you're allowed to do that. Well, in the meantime, those couple of years, I started dating for the first time. I had my first boyfriend. I was so in love, but he was a good Christian boy too. So we were gonna wait, right? So we waited. In fact, we waited 2 years. For the value of the story, because I thought it was important back then, he was also a virgin. So, you know, you've got 2 holy children just waiting on the Lord. Okay, in all seriousness, I did see value in waiting. I didn't want to, you know, just share the most intimate personal parts of myself with just anybody. But me and said boy dated for 2 years before we decided to do that. So me, being the very honest person that I am, and always leaning into what my mother told me, which was, you can come talk to me about anything. I will never judge you. I will always be here for you. You can literally share anything with your mother. I hope you know that, right? I think a lot of parents have said that to their children, but do they really mean it? I remember where I was standing when I told my mother that I had lost my virginity. I was in the living room of the house that I grew up in, and I
So she's 17 in this. She's been with her boyfriend for 2 years. If you find out your daughter had sex with her boyfriend after 2 years, is it that big of a deal? Okay, that's fine. When's the wedding? That's it. It's not that. It's normal. Okay.
I said, Mom, I need to tell you something. She could tell by the tone in my voice and the look on my face that it was something more serious and that I was getting ready to be really vulnerable with her. So I did. I opened up and I said, Mom, this last weekend, I lost my virginity to my boyfriend. You know that we've been together for almost 2.5 years. And I want to be honest with you, and I want to be able to have these conversations with you because you've told me that I can talk to you about anything. And she looked at me with the most disgusted look on her face and said, give it to me. I said, give you what? Your purity ring.
Yeah, so now it's her first experience with sex. Shame. Again, back in the day, they would just get married. But the thing is, it's the mothers wanting to control the sex drive. That's what they're trying to do. Apparently, the chat says, 1 blowjob, she's not a virgin anymore. That's how men see it, ladies. We try to get all these workarounds.
I was like, wait, what do you mean? She said, well, I guess I'll be calling the pastors and telling them that you won't be participating in the upcoming purity ring ceremony at church. So instantly, guilt, shame. This is what religion is so good about. Guilt and shame around your purity. Really guilt and shame around anything. In that moment, I learned really quickly that I could not trust my mom with...
Wait, Rolo got divorced? She apparently doesn't know Rolo got divorced. Oh, that's so sad. No, is that true? Could you guys check in the chat? That can't be true.
anything, that she would, in fact, judge me if I shared any truth with her. I've heard story after story after story from women that grew up the same way that I did, that were basically taught that their body...
Look, I understand shame can be a good thing. Like, we should shame women that are fucking in public, okay? That's shameful. We should shame women that are just going to get better and better men and just treating men like they're disposable. But shaming a woman for having sex with her boyfriend that she loves, I mean, like, the shameful behavior, you have to understand, it's not the sex. The shameful behavior is leaving, which is usually women dump their high school boyfriends. Okay, that's the general consensus. I took the data of 80 almost conservative women to find their average age of first marriage. And it's pretty much the same. Some of these are just guessing based on what I found online, but like for example, Lila Rose, age of first marriage, 30. So she shames men for sleeping around, but she got married at 30. Do you guys believe that she lost her virginity on her wedding night? 3 kids, which really isn't, okay, that above average. Age of first child, 31. You risked autism for your children so you could fuck around. Totally fine. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. She did take her husband's last name. She is still married currently, but it's only been 6 years, so God only knows. Which is the next clip I wanted to react to. All right.
Justin, do you ever see yourself getting married?
No, not on paper. No.
So this is the player, and these are the conservatives trying to shame the player for exercising the only power he has in society, other women.
Absolutely not. I believe in love and marriage and in regards to taking care of a woman fully and your
This spreadsheet's given a bit of autism. Shut the fuck up. Sorry. Okay.
responsibilities as a father and a provider and protector. 100%. In fact, I think that's probably what's broken about the world. But in regards to letting the state get into all my businesses that took me over a decade to build, absolutely not. No.
Those are very
How
smart.
do you think you're gonna get to the place of that marriage you want with that family and that lifelong love that you just
I
talked
didn't
about?
say I didn't have family or children. I just
Oh,
said
I
it was none of
see.
your business.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you want to keep it private, is what you're saying?
That's
Yeah.
what I
I
said.
understand.
Do you?
Justin has
Might have multiple family.
Oh.
You never know. I might like family more than you. So much I have 5.
Do you think that's a good thing to have multiple families?
I think it's good if there's one dad and there's not a bunch of step parents involved and the dad can be the hero and those 5 families live a 10x better life than they would have otherwise. Yes, ma'am, I do.
But you don't think that it will be ultimately an opportunity for jealousy or disharmony amongst
Women
two
are always
different
going to be
families?
jealous.
So yeah, so this is like she's doing a typical female shaming tactic. I mean, do you guys love that passive aggressive voice of women trying to guilt you for things? You don't think you're putting your work above your family by doing your job? You don't think you're doing... Yeah, and this is why they're the same. She's just got like a dress on. You know what I mean?
So what's changed
I'm not
about that?
jealous in
Women
my
have been jealous
marriage.
all the way through time. So
I'm not jealous in my marriage.
Well, I don't care about your
Let me
marriage. I'm
text
talking about
Waller.
mine. Well,
He
my
said he
life
could
is going
call
to be.
in.
So I don't answer to you. So that's my answer. I'm going to run my situation exactly how I want to. And generally, when I do that, that's when I have the most happiness, let's say, in my life. So that's all.
And you would want that for your daughters?
Yeah. Yeah, I live my life unapologetically on my terms. So if my daughters that are overly spoiled and educated in every way and have friends all over the world and world traveled in the best schools in the world, if they have a problem with me at the end of the day, then they can kick rocks too. I'm not going to simp for my daughters. I'll love them fully. But if they grow up and turn into a person that doesn't want to get in line with me or look, here's my goal as a parent. Teach my children how the world works. Give them the skills so they can live on their own terms and give them choice. If they choose not to make me part of their life after I've given them those things, I've still succeeded as a father.
But I guess I'm asking if you're comfortable answering, obviously, but are you wanting to be a role model for your kids? Is that
So now she's shaming, right? She's like, you're not a role model. Bitch, Justin Waller built like a giant company and he had to work 10 times as hard. You got caught embezzling money. And you're going to say, because he likes hot women with big tits. Don't all men watch? You guys like hot women with big tits? One in the chat. You're saying because he told his wife, I'm not going to be monogamous, and she accepted it, or his girlfriend, whatever, because she accepted that. She said, okay, I love you, I'm staying. I'm going to be monogamous too, even though you're not. She's the wife, that's a choice. But the thing is, conservatives hate when men use sexuality for their benefit. They only like it when it benefits the woman. It's why they don't shame older marriage. It's why they don't shame. It's why they shame porn. It's why they shame anything that gives men power.
1,000%. A father should show up in every way for his children. I think I'll be better than most fathers, regardless of how many children I have. I might have 100.
But you think part of being a role model, it's okay for your kids not to know even your relationship status with their own mom?
They will know the relationship status with me and their mother.
But you have other relationships with other women, too.
What does that have to do with anything?
But I'm just wondering if you think
I haven't even said that. I'm just saying, like, if I want to, I will.
But you don't think that's a problem for your daughter?
Yeah, do you hear it? Like, conservatives hate that. If I want to, I will. Because they're so used to being able to control their husbands. If I want to, I will. Older marriage is a sin. Well, what do you think they're fucking doing before this older marriage? God, you guys are... Oh, my God. The Christian simps amaze me, even in my own chat. I thought you were better. They also want to control how you have sex. You know, you're not allowed to get a Gluck Gluck 5000 from your wife if the man in the Jesus hat says not to. Can you imagine? You're like, honey, I want a Gluck Gluck. And she says no. The Jesus man says we can't. So they say they don't admit, like, Justin's wife obeys him. Lila obeys whatever priest. That's the difference.